the point of this video is, the first video was to show you how I do it as an example. This one is more of an explanation. It's for everybody in the room and then anybody watching. So when you sit down at the table, the first thing you want to do is, there's about 50% of the time you want us to reset the buying atmosphere. I think it's very appropriate because you want them to know, like, I need you to make a decision when we're all done. So I've already said it once at the door. As I'm going to the table, as I'm about to sit down, it's like, hey, I'll just show you on paper, totally nonchalant, right? Hey, I'm just going to show you on paper, and you guys will know one way or the other. Either it's going to make sense or it's not going to make sense. Then you want to go through all the different pieces of equipment that they're going to have, and you're going to explain things differently. Anything that you didn't explain during your walkthrough, you explain on paper. Anything that you did explain in your walkthrough, you brush by really fast. One of the common mistakes that people make is they oversell while doing this. We just did a video of it. It was 7 minutes start to finish for the whole thing. I've seen some that were 10, 11, 12 minutes long. So no, you don't want to do that. So the first thing you want to do is explain the Lyric controller. So we have one controller. I'm always very specific to say the retail cost is $10.25. I'm doing that because every once in a while you get someone like, well, it doesn't really cost that much. If you have someone in sales or someone who's looked into this stuff, I'm like, yeah, I know. It's the wholesale cost. You can get it for $400 or $500, but it retails anywhere from $800 to $1,200 depending on the store. But I'm prepping that by just saying, yeah, we do the keypad. It retails at $1,000. Then you want to compare it to something they know. So that's like buying a new big screen TV, right? Or it's like buying a new iPad, or it's buying a new iPhone X. I'm looking at their phone earlier. I asked, do you have a smartphone during my walkthrough? They always pull it out right there. They don't just say yes or no. If they have a Samsung, I'm going to say this is like a Samsung Galaxy 8. Literally using the example of what's in their pocket so it all makes sense. So that's the controller. Now I'm going to explain the key parts of it that I may or may not have already explained, but I'm going to use this to do that. So I'm going to pull up. Oh, there's no code. Oh, there's code. Nice. So I'm going to pull up the Lyric, and I always show this, and I'm just showing them how badass the Lyric is. So the camera, the key points to it, you saw those. It's the camera, it's the Wi-Fi, the cellular, the two-way voice, the smash and grab, and then the connectability to all the different devices in the house. And if I'm selling anything on a fresh door, I'm selling the keypad because I have to justify $1,000 worth of value on a keypad. So that's the keypad. I'll write the cellular chip. You guys, there's a GSM cell chip that actually goes inside of it, and it is about $187 on Amazon. So look that up. That's a chip that goes in there. Security equipment. There's two different things to know. One, I'm going very quickly. We've got your doors. We've got 4 of those, $75 a piece, $300. If you're bad at math, memorize the numbers. Just memorize them. I think the calculator is cute, but professionals don't need calculators when they're doing something they've done a bazillion times. And if you tell people I do this 2 or 3 times a day and then you're still using a calculator, I think that's a juxtaposition. That doesn't really make sense. So you've got doors, the motion detector, and in my head, I'm adding this up. So 4, 5, 6, I'm adding up all my points. 5, 6, the smoke and heat detector. And we've already talked about all these, so I'm just trying to write it down and put down the pricing, and that's it. And I know that in this section, I'm at +1. So whatever my price is, whatever my automation price is, I know I'm at +1 because I got 8 points of security equipment. That's why we broke it up that way. Then I've got my automation and video equipment. We've got the doorbell. I'm gonna remove the objection of I can go online and buy one of those myself by explaining that there are a lot of different doorbells, and there are. Even the Skybell, the cheap one, it's like $120 or something. It's crappy. The black and white night vision is just not good, but it looks like the one that's really expensive. It's kind of like you can buy a MacBook Pro for $1,500 or for $2,500. They look the exact same. What's different is what's on the inside. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to convey when I say, hey, you can get one for $150, you can get one for $300. We just do the nice one. And then we do the door locks. Same thing with door locks. You can buy one for $75 because you can. We use one that's retails for about $300. So I put all the equipment right there. Again, not overselling it, but justifying the price. The additional services, the installation, we charge a $200 installation fee, and then the lifetime warranty, $600. That number, you guys, comes from $10 a month times 60 months. That's where that number comes from. So at this point, you should know the monthly rate, which is 2 pieces of automation and 1's a doorbell, so $62.99 plus 1, $63.99. You should just be able to do that. If you're not good at it yet, like just throw up equipment lists, quiz each other, and do it that way. And then I'm just adding up the numbers as quick as I can. 600. I do it out loud. 600, 800, 1100, 1400 plus 300. I always chunk. So 17, 2000, 22, 32, 25. 32.25. So that's the retail cost. Emphasis on retail cost of the system. And here's why I show you that. Because everybody in their head right there is saying, they're all saying bullshit. We get free equipment everywhere. Everybody always gives us free equipment. We always get free equipment. So I started saying, everybody gives free equipment. Everybody gives free equipment. Heck, on the ADT website, it says $800 for free. Heck, on our website, it says you can get $1,400 for free. Which means there's $1,800 worth of upgrades. Can anybody argue with that?
Nope.
So it's just very simple. It's like there's $1,800 worth of upgrades. And that is why I'm here. That's the promotion. You put the sign out front, that's what we pay for. And it just makes sense for people. They're like, got it. Cool. So what I'm really getting is I'm getting $1,800 off. I'm not getting $3,200 off because that's stupid. Nobody would do that. I'm getting $1,800 off what they would normally do. You got to keep it connected. This is where you're going to compare it to something they know. Guys, if they've brought up that it's 30, I use whatever number they've brought up. If they haven't brought up a number, I'm like, ADT charges $50 a month for their basic cellular system. If they've said it's $30, yeah, these usually are $30, or I used to have when it was $30. Cool. They used to be $30 a month, then you add in cellular, now I'm back up to 50. Right? But you want to make it, when I'm listing this stuff, it's almost like it feels familiar. Right? We've all gotten cell phones. It's like one price, and then it gets more and more and more and more and more and more and more. Or you go to a resort, and the resort cost is $300 a night, and you've got the resort fee of $20 a night, and you got the parking fee of $10 a night, then you've got to tip your the guy that comes to your room once a day $10 a day, and it just all of a sudden adds up to way more than you thought it would be. So you make them think that that's what's going to happen with ours, right? You've got the two-way voice, you got the app, you got the intercom or the whatever, you got the service plan, you got the warranty, you got the video storage, whatever they're getting, you add it all up, which always ends up being 80 to 100. If I know my system's 72, then it's 90 to 120. And that's going to go right there, which is the same as what we do. So once again, you're justifying we do it just like everybody else does normally, $79.99 a month. But because you're promotional, we pay for this, and then we discount the rate and we drop it 20%. I always say 20% because 20% to most people just makes sense. The math's not perfect, but 21 can be rounded down to 20 and 19 can be rounded up to 20. It's 20%, which means it's $63.99. And then the last thing you're right. So $63.99, and then the last thing you do is you do the emotional close. So the emotional close is once again you're going to compare the price to something that they know. So part of your job during the sales process is to be observant in the house, right? So when I'm walking in, like, do they have dogs? Do they have a TV? Do they have kids in sports? Do they have kids in, what's their hot button? So if their hot button is their kids, and they've got kids that play hockey, for instance, the emotional close is going to sound like this. Man, it's crazy. It's like I've had families before, and the longer you do this, you'll have people say this kind of thing. So if you just want to say, yeah, it's like my manager had a family say this, you can do that because I've heard this before. It's like, heck, we spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars every single year just on hockey equipment. I mean, to protect my kids who wear it and the equipment itself, it just makes sense, right? If they've got the most beautiful cable TV, it's kind of like someone I talked to before. They're like, we spend $200 a month just on cable television. To pay a third of that to keep everybody in my family safe and give me peace of mind, it just makes sense. They're worried about the house when they're on vacation. Man, it's kind of like one family told me, like, dude, we spend thousands of dollars to go on vacation. To spend a couple of bucks to make sure we don't have to think about our house when we're gone, it just makes sense, right? So you're always comparing it, and when you say that just makes sense, you nod, and your customer nods with you. Because what that means when you get that nod is they're with you, they're ready to go. And if they haven't objected right there, then it's the third thing you need to do is write me a testimonial. There's no yes in the way that we close, but this is where you get your yes. So I ask them, hey, we need you to do a testimonial, and I'm not going to let them just, what would you write for a testimonial? I really like good equipment. Like, I'm going to make sure they know exactly what I want them to say, which is, it's not about the equipment. We know the equipment rocks. We do it for thousands of people. That's herd selling, right? We know the equipment's awesome. We do it for thousands. We'll do it for 150 people in this city this week, right? What we want to know is what is the value, so the emotional value that you get from having the system. And I'm going to sandwich what I know their hot button is between two things that also could be important. So if their hot button was their kids, I'd say, to you, what's the most value? Do you like knowing that it's easy to run from your phone, you have control of your house? Or is it most important, do you like the best that you know your kids are safe when you're gone? Or is it just that you like knowing that if the house light's on fire and you're on vacation, you're gonna be fine? What would it be for you, Joel? And then he says, oh man, I think about my kids and I like knowing that they're safe. That's definitely what it would be for. Or a spouse goes, all three.
What if you get an I don't know?
I don't know. Then I go, cool, I probably didn't ask the question correctly. What I'm asking is, the value to you of this system would be what? And if they go, I don't know, then they're not sold and you have to go back because you didn't build enough value.
Where do you go back to?
At that point, then I'm asking, I'm like, oh, okay, so you don't know what the value of the system is. Okay, did we set it up correctly? I mean, then it's a whole nother bag of worms. But if they answer the question right there, that's a yes. Which I go, cool, last thing I need to do is I just need to make sure the house is qualified. And I'm gonna go right into the credit check. So hopefully that helps a little bit with the psychology of how we write it. If you look at it, I mean, I'm a pretty boring person when it comes to selling because it all pretty much looks identical every single time. On a day where I sell 4, there's 4 look exactly like this just laying on the floor in my car, right? Same mindset on here. Hopefully you can see how this translates to the change of service, but you're identifying what they have in this tiny little box up here with their money, and then you're adding up all the different additions that they would get, and you're showing that over here you get it for free. So, any questions that you guys have? We'll do the last 5 minutes of this on the Q&A, but we'll talk specifically about the change or the fresh store price build up. Yep.
Why don't
Start
you
with Pooch because he raised his hand.
So do you ever show them the ADT thing where it costs like $1,800 and then $82 a month? Or you just kind of like tell them that?
I just tell them. When I was, you guys, that's a good point. So if you're not confident in explaining this in such a way that it's like a no-brainer, this is part of the reason why I love doing overviews and why I love doing interviews, because I explain this every single day to lots and lots of people the entire year. But yeah, there's a time where I used to, do you have the thing, the ADT thing?
Hey, do you want us to record this?
Oh, it's not recording?
It's still recording.
Yeah, that's fine. So there's a screenshot where it shows ADT, this is what they do for basic, and this is what they do for their advanced. A lot of times I like to save that, Austin, as proof of everything I'm saying if they don't believe me.
Okay.
I just really think I could get it cheaper from ADT. I thought the same thing, so I started doing some research. Check this out. You actually can get it for $39.99 a month, but this is all you get, and there's still a $500 installation fee. But here, this is essentially what we do. It's $1,800 to install it, $82 a month. So I like to keep this as backup. So again, I'm going to try to take the simplest path to a yes and save all my arrows.
Okay.
Because if I can do all of it without bringing that up, cool. There's a time where if they're over the buying line and I start bringing that up, now it looks like I'm trying to justify something, and now I'm overselling, and they're like, I don't trust him. Because if they're like, yeah, that price makes sense, I like it, but let me just prove 18 more times why it makes sense. Why would you do that? You'd only be proving it because most people don't believe it. And now they're like, well, if most people don't believe it, I shouldn't believe it either. Now I need to do research. So you always want to use as little as possible to get a yes. And you're keeping everything extra for when you need to like buckle in and go.
Okay.
Like if they're being a skeptic about it, you can tell when they're like, that doesn't seem to make sense.
Totally.
To me. That's when I'll be like, it was pretty funny. I was, with a customer, blah blah blah. And I'll just show them that. Like, isn't that crazy? And they're like, oh wow, okay. So,
A lot of it is reading the situation too, right? A lot of it is reading the situation. Yep.
Oh,
Sam's next, and then
okay. But I raised my hand.
you did raise your hand. Sam.
when you go through all of this, and then why don't you be like, cool,